Welcome you all to CHD 203, Chapter 4, Phonics and Word Identification. Utilizing sound recognition to construct words and meaning is important in early literacy. Phonics is an awareness of letters and sounds in written words, skills that are useful because they help children decode unknown words. Phonics builds a foundation for young children to understand the rules of the English language by allowing them to use decoding strategies and increase their reading fluency. The development of language for young children begins at birth with sound recognition, environmental awareness, and social interaction. Phonemic awareness is a precursor to phonics and an indicator of later success. Children who do not understand the concept of rhyming, blending, and segmenting sounds in the spoken word will have difficulty comprehending phonics skills such as consonant and vowel patterns. The phonemic awareness process begins with parents talking to infants and reading aloud. Once children recognize letters, sight words, and environmental print, their literacy skills progress rapidly. The goal of phonics and word identification is to learn patterns of sound in meaningful context, which means like through children's books and literature. Practice those decoding skills through games and activities, and apply those strategies in continuous text, meaning reading new passages. So let's look at language development and word identification. Language development starts at birth and continues throughout one's lifetime. However, initial phonological and phonemic awareness starts with toddlers who are learning usage of their symbolic language with phonemes. And remember, phonemes is the smallest unit of sound. It's just one sound. Like words like mama, dada, that's that single smallest unit of sound, okay? Children recognize that words have individual sounds that can be manipulated to create new words like bat and mat. Remember, we did this on the board in class, and we said if you could read the word cat, then you could read the word bat or mat or rat, okay? Phonemic awareness skills include rhyming, blending, segmenting, and manipulating sounds in spoken words, which are essential components of learning how to read. Now, remember, there are 44 phonemes or individual sounds, remember, in the English language. Now, I remember I continued to ask you, how many letters are there? And you told me there were 26. However, there are 44 sounds. So of those 26 letters, they make 44 sounds, which is why learning to read can be such a difficult process for children. So through that association process, okay, which is kind of an approach that means if a child knows the word dog, then they can learn the word frog through that onset and rhyme, remember? And the onset is the initial sound, and the rhyme is that word family, like the og family or the at family. Okay, those are called the rhymes. And then the sounds that we put at the beginning are called the onset. So what kind of environment must we set up for children to be successful during this early literacy instruction? Well, we know setting up a print-rich environment for literacy instruction is essential for young learners. A classroom for active engagement has a library that is overflowing with all kinds of children's books, which reflect their interests and the cultures of the children. The walls are covered with colorful pictures and print related to current units of study or samples of students' work. Classrooms are labeled, which we did. And so we know that when these types of conditions are present, that that learning is going to take place, okay, that teacher is creating that open and safe environment where children feel free to express their ideas, their creativity, their imagination, and it increases their motivation to learn. So if you look on page 81 of your text, you will see that here are a few areas that we've come up with that say that if you have these kinds of things going on in your classroom, then you've created that type of safe, effective environment that are critical elements for creating that environment where children are safe to learn. Okay, so we're talking about environmental print immersion. We know what environmental print is. Demonstration. Okay, that means that the children observe the teacher demonstrating different things, modeling skills that they need to know. Engagement, expectation, responsibility, use, approximation, and response. So what are foundational skills of early literacy? They are essentially the building blocks of early literacy, and they are phonemic awareness, letter knowledge, sight words, and print awareness. So what are these? Well, letter knowledge is that children need to understand the alphabetic principle. And the alphabetic principle is that letters represent sounds. They need to learn to recognize the 26 letters in the English alphabet, both the capital and the lowercase ones, and they need to recognize and identify individual consonant and vowel sounds. Sight words. Okay, we sometimes hear them called sight words. They may be called high frequency words. These are words that appear frequently in beginning reading books. These words have to be memorized because they cannot usually be decoded. There are 220 high frequency words that sometimes they're called Dolch words, that are important for students to learn by the end of the third grade. These utility words typically have no meaning on their own, okay? And they're words like a, it, the, and. They're very frequent, and they're somewhat, you see them over and over and over again. And playing games and reading predictable books will help children develop this sight word vocabulary. So what is print awareness? That's when a child understands the way print works. For example, that a book is read from front to back. We read from left to right. And when they've grasped those types of concepts, they've grasped that concept of print. They've grasped that concept of print. Reading becomes easier for young children when they understand the concepts of letters, words, and punctuation in sentences. What about phonemic awareness? Well, phonemic awareness is an understanding of sounds in the spoken word. Remember, I told you that you can do phonemic awareness in the dark. You're exactly right. You can do it in the dark. It means because we're listening to the sounds. We're not reading them on the paper. We're listening to them. Children who have phonemic awareness understand the rhythmic nature of language and the concept of rhyme. They are able to blend and segment individual sounds and phonemes. They can manipulate sounds in words, such as changing the beginning, the middle, or the end. And this understanding of the sounds of language is learned naturally through listening to stories or songs from a young age. And phonemic awareness sets the stage for phonics. So when we're teaching foundational literacy skills, the easiest way to do this, to teach the concepts of print, the sight words, phonemic awareness, alphabetic knowledge, is through reading to children, especially books that are going to have those predictable patterns like Brown Bear, what do you see? I see a blue cat looking at me. Okay, those very predictable, rhythmic type of reading with also very easy to decode text. And we can also use wordless picture books. And these are really, really highly recommended for beginning readers because children can look at the pictures and tell their own stories. And what we know that does is that helps them to develop reading comprehension and those oral language skills. So when we're talking about phonics skills and instruction for beginning readers, Phonics is closely related to spelling, remember, because we're putting those sounds that we hear. We did some of this modeling on the board. So phonics is an understanding of sounds in the written word. So now we're really concerned about the actual letter and words on the paper, okay? Phonological awareness is going to include knowledge of consonant digraphs and blends, long and short vowels, R-controlled vowels, and then something called vowel digraphs and diphthongs. So let's look at consonant digraphs and blends. These are single consonant sounds. Usually we teach single consonant sounds first, like B and K and D. Okay, those types of things, very easy to do. Okay, so we can relate them to a picture that the kids know. Okay, so what is a consonant digraph? Two letters that make one sound. Ch, sh, wh. Okay, two letters we put together, but they make one sound. Consonant blends, however, we can still hear each sound. Okay, each sound is still represented, like bull and soul, burr, tur, those. Okay, there's a good listing of those in your book. Short and long vowels. Short vowels are generally taught before long vowels. Okay, and here are some examples of short vowels. Short A says ah, like an apple. Short E says eh, as an elephant. Short I, igloo. Short O, ah. Remember I told you it's the doctor sound? Octopus. Short U is like an umbrella. Long, remember, long vowels say their name. You're right. Long vowels say their name. So long A would be game. Do you hear that A in game? Long E is sheep, where you can hear that E sound. Long I would be ice. You hear I saying its name at the beginning. Long O, rope. Okay, hear that O in the middle. And then long U would be music. You can hear that letter saying its name. So how do we teach literacy strategies? What do? Well, we want to make sure that we keep our phonics instruction short and simple during literacy activities. And the sequence of phonics skills, which goes from the simple to the more complex, is usually taught by the end of second grade. Phonics is a tool for decoding unknown words. Phonics skills should be taught and practiced in context, meaning by reading actual text, and then also in isolation through flashcards, manipulatives, games, that type of thing. So we're going to make sure that we merge those two, that we just don't teach it only in context or only in isolation, that we merge the two. Okay. And again, what is the purpose of word identification and phonics? Is to learn patterns of sounds in meaningful context, where we practice these decoding skills and then apply these skills and strategies to new contexts, meaning being able to read new words. So thanks so much for joining me for chapter 4, and I'll see you next week.